Hello, everyone. Welcome to your weekly energy healing session. It is May 13th, 2025. I'm Terryann, and we're going to be working through the pineal. So, one of the gals on the call mentioned that people are having difficulty sleeping, and one of the things that came up was let's dissolve some of the calcium buildup around the pineal to get better quality of sleep. So if you look into your Chinese clock and the hours of the day, it relates to different organs, but it also relates to different consciousness. You can do that research on your own. We're looking at 4 a.m. So this is between 3 and 5 a.m. They go in the odd numbers. 3 to 5 a.m. is the lung. So we want to get the lung breathing a little bit more. It can be impacted by allergens that are going on, depending on, it's obviously going to depend on what season you're in. Well, you're either in spring or fall, so both of those seasons are going to bring up a lot more allergens. That's one thing. And the second thing is, the obviously the hemisphere that you're in. And then we're going to work with the body's ability to deal with those allergens. It can also be your own space, like within your home. So one of the things I noticed is how much dust comes into the home. I'm a person who gets a lot of allergies and a lot of dust comes in. So I put an air purifier, and despite the air purifier, like within 3 days of dusting, I can do it again and again. There's huge amounts of dust. So I'm hoping that it's going to work a little bit more. So we can look at within the home. We've got walls, we've got, things that come through the walls. It's going to depend on if you're an apartment building, condominium, attached homes, detached homes. All of that is going to be a little bit different. All right, so let's just start there and let's do some box breathing. So those of you who do struggle with sinus, lung stuff, this is going to be good for you. And for those of us who have a little trouble sleeping, or different patterns of sleeping that might have changed, or waking up at certain times, or not being able to sleep. These are all different. Like if you can't go to sleep, usually 11 to 1 a.m., that's going to be gallbladder. Gallbladder is all the thinking from the day. So there are different reasons why we won't be able to sleep. I'm not going to cover all of those. What I'm going to be looking at is the thought processes that we have that can be part of the illusion that creates our world. We all have a different illusion. That illusion creates our world. So let's do some box breathing to help release. We don't have to get rid of, or not that we can, but we don't have to like dissolve all of the illusions that we have. That's not necessary. What is necessary is to loosen the grip those illusions have on us so we can experience our construct in life. We have a nice construct. We all need a construct. We all need rules for living. If we don't have rules for living, if we just, fly in the face of those rules, it's really easy to find out if that's a problem. Tomorrow, for the next month, get up anytime you want, go to bed anytime you want, don't do any exercise, eat whatever you want, sleep anytime you want, don't clean yourself, don't change your clothes. Just, let all constructs go to the wind. And you'll probably notice that within weeks you will be depressed. So we humans need, and so do animals. I've never seen an animal not do the same thing. Animals do the same. They want to eat, they want to fly, or, well, this is my bird that wants to fly around. It wants to play. If my bird doesn't get playtime, cuddle time, eating time, fun time, chasing time, he loves to be chased around the house. doesn't get that. He gets really moody. He gets depressed. He gets sad. He starts plucking at his feathers. So we're pretty much living beings that need these things to experience our life. But when it gets too tight, we can form too much rigidity within the entire, let's go body mind. And once we have that rigidity, nothing can really get in, and we become closed and closed off. Or if we're too open, then negative things can come in. This can be anything from being online, people at your job. A lot of people have told me in their jobs, if they work for corporations, I have a terrible boss and he's mean and he's awful. Well, yeah, sure. That can happen if you don't have your own sense of structure, your own sense of right and wrong. You can attract those people. It's way more complex than that. I'm not worried about the complexity. You can do your own research on the complexity of how evil can get into your life, but you don't want evil to come into your life. You don't want to be scared of it either. You're just going to be strong, the strong body minds, so that these things you can detect them clearly. Now, there's another part where in the collective, there's a lot going on with, evilness. I would say that evilness has a lot to do with ignorance, what we're ignorant of and what other people are ignorant of. Evilness is, I'm not going to take a peek at myself. Now, some people can get through their lives without ever looking at themselves, never looking in the mirror to see what's going on. There are people that do that. And you might go, oh, they just have a fine life. Sure, that can happen. There's so many variations. But if you were experiencing this difficulty getting rest, sleeping, having too many thoughts about, let's say, how you're inadequate, thoughts about what you should or shouldn't be doing, thoughts about that actually degrade you, we really need to allow those to soften, right? Because it's very easy to criticize oneself. It's very easy. One of the things I've said, and I just listened to somebody say it, I was like, what do you mean you didn't know this? The more you focus on your problems, well, the more you have problems, right? I've talked about it as poop in the head, right? So I have all these thoughts. I might have all these negative thoughts about myself. Let's say you've got 50, and then you go to each one of those thoughts and you focus on them as a problem, and you divide them up into 50 more thoughts about what kind of problem you are. So thoughts about yourself, this is not great. What is great is, here I am. What is the best thing I can do for myself? Like exercise, eating right, drinking water, doing work, even if you don't love it, and making sure that you feel really good doing the things you're doing. Like, let's say you're vacuuming your house, or you're cleaning your bathroom, you're cleaning your toilet. It's hard work. I don't like cleaning the toilet. It's not my favorite thing in the world. It's really not. But I do it, and it feels good once I'm done. Plus, you can also do it in ways where you're moving your body and you're exercising. So that simplicity really helps your body mind get in touch with the earth, right? So what's grounded are the things that I do in my life. Then there's the part of us that goes, I would like to be better than I am. As soon as you do that, you start creating problems for yourself, right? So this basic structure allows you to sleep well. Farmers and workers, construction workers, people who work in the field, gardening, all these things, you sleep way better. Intellectuals tend to not sleep as well. They tend to have a lot more issues. So we could do a combination, because I like to think about things. I like to create things. I like to come up with new ideas. Sure, that's great. But you also need the grounding. So we want that structure so we don't let the evil in. You don't want to let the narcissist into your life. You don't want to let the sociopath into your life. And they're all around us, and we forget um, to realize those people exist. I've brought it up many, many times, but then I stopped talking about it a lot in my life because people would be offended that I would look at someone in particular and go, that person's not good. You got to be careful. And they would tell me, God, you're so critical, and I just go, no, now I know for myself. So you need to know for yourself. You can't have somebody informing you of where the narcissist lays or the sociopath lays. You create a good life. And if somebody comes in and starts messing around with your life, well, you'll know right away. So that's very clear. That's something, including what you're reading, including what you're seeing online, because we're living online now. So not everyone, obviously, but the majority of this planet is living online. We're exposed to so much that we were not exposed to. So we're working with that around almost like a planet. So we know the pineal and the pituitary are moving around the thalamus, like the sun, the moon, the stars, the planets. So we want to get that. I almost feel like the pituitary is not, it doesn't have to move in our brains, but I'm looking at this sort of dynamic motion of the pituitary where it gets enough food in it. So when we're drinking, eating, vitamins, we get whatever is needed into that pituitary, including biochemical processes and our hormones. We want that to work really, really well for us, so that we also have, what's the pineal associated with? It's associated with the third eye, so that we can have insight without pathologizing through the false self. So the false self, the ego, sits over the heart. And if we have insight and we go in, well, we see terrible things about ourselves, or we could be overinflated. We don't want either of those things to happen. I'm just a normal, average person. And the more ordinary we can experience things and have the the enthusiasm that comes from being ordinary. It's something I've been considering a lot, is that ordinariness is way more beautiful than anything false that we could determine. Everything else is kind of an excitement or a pushing, when ordinariness is where the enthusiasm is. So you can do this for yourself. You go outside and you look at you pass by a dog and you pet the dog, or you see a cat, or you see some flowers or a gorgeous tree. That is the ordinariness of life, and how beautiful it is. Just a little baby. I mean, there's nothing like watching a baby for, I don't know, I could watch a baby for 10 hours, fall asleep, wake up and start watching it again. It could be my full-time job. Babies are so incredible. Children are incredible. Of course, it's a little odd to sit around and watch children all the time, but I love it when their kids around, their kids across the way from me, and I just hear their yelps and their laughter and their screams when they're playing, and it brings absolute joy, way more joyful than, it's phenomenal than anything else that I've done or experienced in my life, is hearing kids laughing. So I'm not doing this where you're forced to have that, but you need to engage with simple things and see how, filled with joy and bliss those things are. Everything else is, I think, materialism, right? Even, you've heard of spiritual materialism, which is, the accumulation of all kinds of techniques and things we do, when I think healing and feeling better in life is super simple. So I'll leave you all with one story. One of the Roman soldiers that killed Christ um, was touched by Christ. Like, you know, there was a sentimentalism that he decided he was going to, once Christ died, he was going to follow the route Christ took to find out, about this guy. Is this really true that he healed people? Like, what was going on? And he goes from village to village to find how Christ healed. And finally, he comes upon one village, and he says, Christ, and how did he heal? And the guy says, ask that girl in the square, in the middle of the square. And he goes over to her, and she's crippled. She can't move. Her legs don't work. And she's selling flowers. And he says, they say that Christ healed you, but you still have what do you call it? Paraplegic legs. Your legs still don't work. And she says, oh, yes, he did heal me. I was angry. I'm no longer angry. And I thought, wow, what a powerful story, right? The simple things. She's smiles, she's happy, and life has changed. So we never know how healing works. And that's something that we can, bust through, because we have a lot of shoulds when it comes to healing. And I think those shoulds, that I should be a certain way, make the journey miserable, especially when it happens that you're not well, right? When you're not well, you got to go, okay, well, this is terrible. When you just need to go, wait a minute, let me at least heal my mood. Let me at least heal how I feel about this condition I'm in. Because if you look at an animal and, it's lost a leg, it keeps going. I was down the canal yesterday walking, and there was this dog with 3 legs. He was just basically totally happy, came running up to you, right? And we know that can be the same for us. So that, to me, just even that last story about the dog, I can already feel the brain clearing, and that insight to, yeah, I might not have physical problems right now. I did have them, but we have all these other things we think about, and the more I can free myself from those things and keep my structure going and have that enthusiasm for the simplest things, like I bought a flower and I'm very happy with my flower. So there you go. Please, if you want to do some box breathing, and kind of, your pineal is, if you make a cross section here, front to the side, just over your ear, you're going to hit your pineal. And so if you want to focus on that with some box breathing is hold counts of 4. So you inhale with a count of 4, hold count of 4, exhale count of 4. On that exhale, release, and then hold count of 4. So let's do one now while we just go in and release from that pineal. And you may get some cool stuff happening. So let's go. Inhale. Hold. Exhale. Hold. And let go. So you might already, well, just scan and notice the difference. If you haven't noticed any difference whatsoever, I would do it again, and do it 3 times. You could do it more often and just allow yourself. There's another way to do it, is to inhale, close your eyes for a second, scan your body, notice what's going on, and exhale, open your eyes and release from that area and see what happens then. So lots of good stuff to practice and allow yourself. I don't know if you're feeling it, but I'm already feeling like some stimulation around this area of the brain, allowing us to clean up that pineal. All right, everyone. Have a great week. Please like, share, and subscribe, comment. Let me know how it went. All right. Take care. Bye.